have a roll call. Can you raise your hand if you are in the class for the last session? Not the beginner session, just the last one, the last class. Nobody. You could raise your hand. Okay, Eno. Only Eno. In class. Okay, so others were not in class last session. Okay, I'd like a recap of what we did the last time. And can you give us a recap? What did you get from the last class? And are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, you
yeah,
took us through how to transform data. We picked a set of data from an Excel spreadsheet, moved it to the Power Query editor, cleaned it up, and transformed it. I think we renamed some of the columns, and then moved it back to the Power BI summary. So you showed us that we can pull data from different places, either Excel, SharePoint.
I can hardly hear you now.
Sir?
Go. Okay, you're back now. Yeah, go on.
And then you showed us how to access the different types of data and then how to handle it in the Power Query editor, which is a place that we clean the data, tidy it up, pick out the salient information that will be able to tell a story.
Okay.
Yeah, I think basically that's what we did.
Yeah, okay. You were the last class, not the beginner's class. Were you the last class 2 weeks ago? The intermediate class, the first one.
Beginner's class. Yes, I was the first class of this intermediate session.
Yes, okay. All right then. Okay. My name is Franca Ibuzo. A Microsoft certified trainer and a data analyst. I'm also the chief executive of Cheska Global Solutions. I introduced myself the last time though, but I just said to, I'll be taking you again on modeling, and we're going to look at DAX. But let me just have I'm going to do a recap of what we did the last time. Yeah. We talked about data modeling. Yeah. And I said that the data modeling teaches the fundamental concepts of designing and developing a data, the data model for proper performance and scalability. Yeah, and we looked at and how to also help common data modeling issues, including relationships. We talked about the relationships and the performance of your program, because you need to model your data. If you don't establish the relationship, between tables, the tables won't talk to themselves. So you need to model your data. We talked about dimensions. I talked about the fact table and the dimension tables. Showed you how to create relationships. And okay, we looked at, I also mentioned that the benefits of a good data model is accurate reports. You get accurate reports, faster data exploration, simple aggregations, and easier to maintain. The tables need to talk to themselves. They need to be related. If they're not related, you will not be, your reports will not be right. Yeah, and I showed you how to um, join the relationship. I said, this sales table here is your fact table, and this is the employee table. And this is the dimension table. There's a one-to-many relationship. So when you have the star, that's many. The employee table to the sales, the relationship between because if you're going to take the exams, it's good you need to know this, that if you're asked what the relationship between the employee table and the sales table is, you say it's a one-to-many relationship. But if it's the sales table, the relationship between the sales table and the employee table is many to one. Yeah. So we looked at that, how to manage relationships, and I talked about the star schema because it's in a star shape. You have the fact table there, and the fact table, and you have the dimension tables. The dimension tables tells you the details of like you have, remember we had the product table. It gives you the details of each of the tables. So the dimension describes business entities, the details, and the fact table store observations or events. So basically, we looked at modeling the last time, and we're going to, I also talked about relationships and cardinality. Yeah, relationships are said formed by relating rows belonging to different tables, and cardinality is the uniqueness of data values in a column. Yeah, so the cardinality that's the many to one relationship. This is territory. The relationship between territory and the country name is many to one. Okay, so that's the cardinality. And okay, in the first class, the beginner's class, we looked at the append and the merge, how to append and merge tables. Okay, so data modeling, and we looked at the lab. Okay, what I'll do now, I'm going to, okay, today I'll talk about how to create hierarchies, talk about hierarchies, and yeah. Okay, let me jump to Power BI. But before that, I'm going to explain the table we're using, the data sets. The data set we're using, I posted it on the platform. That's the Teams platform, and it's called electronic sales data. Yeah, you have 5 tables, the sales details. Please stop me if you have questions. If there's something that is not clear, you could stop me and ask your questions. Okay, you have the sales details. The sales details, like I mentioned, is the fact table. We looked at this. This is the fact table. You have the order ID, dates key. We can call this dates, not, yeah, the date key. We have the channels, promotion. Okay, we have the states. Yeah, we have the states is an abbreviation. Yeah, you have here, you have this OY is Oyo. Yeah, and this is NA is Nasarawa. So we'll look at the states, the state table later. So you know what all this. Am I audible enough? Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you have
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
You have the product number, and we have the unit cost. and the unit price and the order quantity. Okay, the last class we calculated the profit and the total cost and the total price. Okay, so that's the sales detail table, and this is the product table. So the product table, you have the product name, product subcategory, the product category, and the product key. Yeah. You also have the promotion table, where you have the promotion key and the promotion name. Yeah, so this promo 001 is Adventist promotion. So describes the promotion. You have the promotion name here, and you have the channels. So these are the channels. These CH001 is catalog. Yeah, and this is online. So you have different channels. You have online, you have the reseller, you have outlets. Yeah. Okay, then you have the states. So the states table, so this is where you have the abbreviated names. These are the state names: Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom. Yeah, and these are the zones. So that's why the tables need to talk to each other. Yeah, because you have this abbreviation in you have it on this table, the state details. So if you want to know what NA stands for, this table needs to talk. That's why we need to model our data. If the tables are not related, then your report will not be correct. Okay, do we understand that? Yeah. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, we're looking at this the last time, the model. Remember, I mentioned that this is, you can see this is where we do our modeling, and this is where you have your data, and this is where your report. This is your report. Yeah. So I've brought this into Power BI, the data set into Power BI, and let's look at, okay, I showed you how to manage the relationship the last time. Yeah.
Sorry, please, can you go one step back where you
Well,
showed us where to do the modeling? I didn't get that.
no, okay, no, I was here. Here, this is the data. This is your data. Yeah. If you want to see your data, is this what you want me to go back to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just showing you this. This is your model. Yeah. This is where you do your modeling. Can you see my cursor? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, this is where you do your modeling. Yeah, and your data is here. If you want to look at your
Okay.
data, yeah, you click on this, and this is where you do your reports. Yeah, you can, if you hover around it, you will see pop up report. So that's where you do your reports. Yeah, are you okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. The first thing I'd like us to do, I'd like us to see how to, okay, you remember how we looked at the modeling? We did this modeling. We created relationships the last time. Can somebody remind us, what do we do to create a relationship again? I'm going to delete this. Yeah. So what do you do? What's the relationship between channels and I'll collapse this for now so that we can. What's the relationship between the channels and the sales details? How do I create the relationship? Can somebody help us out here? We did this the last time. Yeah, who is helping us out here? I showed you two different ways to create relationship. Yeah, go on. Who wants to take the first one? And nobody is speaking. Yeah, you can just unmute and speak because I can't see the other screen if you're putting up your
Good evening,
hand.
ma'am.
Good evening. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so to create the relationship between the channels table and sales details table, we need to move the channel key, which is the primary key on channels table, and we'll just move it and we'll just drag it from that particular table and drop it on sales table, sales details table rather.
Okay. You drag it and drop it. Where?
On sales details.
Okay.
On the fact table rather.
Uh,
Sorry.
yeah, you can see this is channel key too. You could drop it on channel there. Yeah, you can see. Can you see the relationship? This channel key is the primary key in the channels table, and it's the foreign key in the sales details table. Yeah, so you drag it here and drop it on this channel key. Yeah, so what else do you do? How else can you create a relationship? Suppose I want a relationship between the product table and the sales details. What else? I showed you two different ways to.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Yeah, go on.
The second option is from the menu bar.
Okay.
We'll be selecting manage relationships.
Okay. So what do I do?
Okay, so once we have the tables that we want, we'll be choosing. I can see everything highlighted already. So we'll select new because we're trying to establish a new relationship.
Okay. So what do I do?
There's a drop down. From the drop down, we'll see all the tables and columns that are related.
Okay.
So if we're doing the one-to-many relationship, we'll be starting with the channels. Okay, let's do products this time. We'll be starting with the product table that has a primary key, and we look for its foreign key in.
Okay. Okay. What else?
The sales table. We'll select the second from the second drop-down option.
Okay. So what else? What do we do? Nice. Yep.
I think our network is sort of tripping off.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because we can't hear her again. Okay, so you need to, because this is product table, this is the primary key here, and this is the foreign key here. So you need to highlight, that's a relationship. Okay, so this is one to many relationship. You can see one to many, and it's the cross filter is single. So click on OK. And close. So you can see that here. Yes. So it's a one-to-many relationship, and it's a single. The cross filter is single. So, are you back?
Yes, I am. So sorry.
Okay. No, that's all right.
Okay,
Your
I
internet.
see you have already gone past it.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah. We noticed your internet threw you out.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Okay. So now we have this. Let me talk about the properties here. So you have under properties, you have okay, because I'm highlighting total sales. You have the name total sales. You can give a description. Yeah, you can describe it. What's total sales? You could give any description you want. And synonyms. Synonyms are, synonyms, you can give a name that is related to what you're looking at. Like you have total sales. Yeah, you could also call it so that when people, you could also call it total sales, because some people might just be looking for total sales or total sales. You can even give it your native name. You could say, what's total sales in Yoruba or Igbo? You could give it any name you want. Yeah. Okay. So these are synonyms. Give it names that are similar so that people, when they're searching, they could put any of the names and they'll still get the results. Okay, that's synonyms. Then you also have, okay, some of the, if you don't want any of the fields to be listed in your model, you can hide it. Yeah, you can hide it so you don't see it in the report, but you don't want this to be hidden because total sales, you're going to use it. Yeah, so this is, and what data type do we want? If you want to hide it, just do that. Yes. Okay, to hide any field you don't want in your report. But for total sales, we don't want to hide it. We want to see it in our report. Okay, and for data type, here you can change your data type here. If you want, we want decimal number for total sales, but if you want whole number, you could select from here. So, but let's leave it decimal number. Then
Sorry, I didn't see where you clicked where you said to hide.
okay, right here.
Yes.
Can you see? Yeah, it's hidden. So if you want to hide it, you need to move this.
Oh,
Say yes, because it was no. So if you move it, it says you move it to yes. Yeah, but we don't want we don't want it hidden. That's why I moved it back. Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. All right. So percentage format, no. Thousand separator. If you want your comma and your thousands, yeah, let's move that. Let's have that. Yeah, we want a thousand separator. And decimal places. Okay, we'll leave it at 2. Yeah, we'll leave the decimal place at 2. Then, okay, summarize by total sales. You're summing. You want to sum the total sales. So we'll pick sum. Yeah, but if you want a maximum sales, you come here to pick that. If you want the maximum sales or you want the minimum or the count of sales or average sales. So you can use all these, any of this, what you want. Yeah. Okay. For unit price, okay, the unit price to be average. Yeah, because you don't want to, you want the average unit price. You don't want to sum the unit price. You want the average unit price. So we'll leave that at average. And you can, we don't want to hide it too. We don't want decimal places. So you can go to properties and select any of this, what you want in this. Okay. Okay, now, okay, do you have any questions with this? Yeah, you could change any of this if you want. Okay, now I'd like to talk about hierarchy. Can somebody tell us what you understand by hierarchy? What do you understand by hierarchy?
Sorry, these properties, where did you get these properties? How did you highlight it?
Okay, no, properties is usually here.
When you did
normally
properties.
Okay, yes, normally, I mean, I collapsed it initially so that we can see the screen. Yeah, but if you want to, you can increase it. If you don't want to collapse it, you click on this. Yeah, so you can see the properties too. Yeah. Yeah, can you see that?
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, so over here, yeah, okay. Over here that we see PRD. If you want to change it, you can write the full name product. So that's because some people complain that they don't know what PRD is or ST. You can write everything in full. Yeah. So this is where you do that. Okay, I'm going to write, okay, this is really, okay, this is the product key. You can see this is the product key. So if you want, you can write product key in full here. Yeah, so that you know what this is. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so you can either collapse it, or if you want to work on it, of course, you need to expand it so you can see what you're doing. Yeah. This is where you work on synonyms and all that. Okay. Yes. Can somebody tell us what you understand by hierarchy? Hierarchy? Who wants to go? Yeah. You have hierarchy in offices, even in, like, you have
top to bottom.
Sorry? Sorry?
Top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom, bottom top.
Hierarchy.
Okay.
Why is that sounding
Levels.
like top to bottom, top to bottom?
Okay, yeah, okay, yes. You have like the manager, you have the managing director, you have directors, then you have managers. That's a hierarchy in your office. Yeah. You have okay, I'm going to use this okay, let's take a look at this table. Yeah, we could look at product table. Yeah. Okay, so if we want to put this product table in a hierarchy, yeah, what would you put first on the top of the table? Can somebody tell us? You have product category, product subcategory, and product name. What will come on top of the hierarchy?
Product name.
Product name on top. Like
Sorry,
the
product category, I think.
I'll put product key.
no product key, no. Yeah, product category will come on top. Yeah, on top of the hierarchy. Yeah, then you have the product subcategory after that, before the product name. Because if you look at this, the product category, you have cameras and camcorders. Yeah, so you have digital camera under cameras. Yeah, and these are the names of the different digital cameras. Yeah, if we look at let's even go to this. Yeah, okay, if you look at the categories, you can see, if you click on this, you can see I'm back to my Power BI desktop. If you click on this arrow down key, it tells you the different categories you have. So you have the, you notice that we have up to 1,636 rows. So you can't, I didn't want to scroll down. So you could just do this to see the different categories. So you have Audio, you have cameras and camcorders, you have cell phones, you have computers, you have music, movies, and audiobooks, and you have TV and video. Okay, so these are the categories you have here. Yeah, and there are subcategories. You have all these under the subcategories. Yeah, you have Bluetooth headphones, camcorders. You can see that these are the computer accessories. You have all these computer accessories there. You have all these under subcategories. Yeah, and product names, you have lots, lots of these. These are the product names. Yeah. So to categorize this, you do the product category first, then the product subcategory under that, and the product name. Are we together? Do we understand that? Yeah? Do we understand that? No feedback.
Yes, thanks.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Okay. So that's your category. Then if this is what you have.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
You didn't get the categories. How? What didn't you
What did
get?
you change?
What did I change where?
I didn't get the last thing you did.
Okay. I said this is the product category. Yeah. I didn't want to scroll down for you to see. Okay, the first bit is the computers. Yeah, because there are
Yeah.
so many. We have 1,636 rows. Yeah, I didn't want to scroll down for you to see all the other categories. So all you need to do is click on this arrow down key, and it will show you the different categories you have. Yeah, so you have audio, cameras, and all that under categories. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and I said under subcategories, you also have all these under subcategories. The first bit we're looking at is computer accessories, but below you have all these other ones as subcategories. Yeah, are you okay with that now?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. All right. So this, yeah, also on the state zone, you have states and the zone. Yeah. How would you categorize this? Let's go back to the data set of yeah. So what would come on top here? When you're categorizing, what would come on top and what would come below?
Zone.
Zone, yes.
Zone then state.
Zone that state, yes, because you have the states under zones. Okay, and you will see also that you have different zones. You have federal capital territory, north central, northeast, and all that on the zone. And you have different states. You have your different states. This is a Nigerian bit. So you have different states of Nigeria. Okay. Now, what I'd like us to do, I'm talking about hierarchy now. Yes, I'd like to collapse this for now, and so that we can see. Okay, so under products, remember we said we want to create an hierarchy. So you right click on product category, yeah, and click on create hierarchy. Yeah. Then under product category, you have what do you have next? Under product category, what did we say we want next? Yeah? Hello? What do you have under product category?
subcategory.
Okay, so you
Subcategory.
okay, so you right click on that and you add the subcategory to it. Yeah, on the category. Okay, then what else? What else do you have? What else do you have? You have the product name. You need to add it to the product category. Yeah. So if you click on this, you see that we have created the hierarchy. Yeah, the hierarchy for the product category. Yeah. You have the product category here, you have the product subcategory and this. Okay, so now this is duplicated, so we can delete this. We can delete this since you already have it. So we are going to delete it from the model. Yeah, delete the products subcategory. Yeah, this is, no, we don't want to delete the product key. We want to delete the product name and the product subcategory. So you click on it. Yeah, right click on it, then delete from model. Yeah, yes, we want to delete this and also the subcategory, since we already have them in the under the hierarchy. Okay. Okay, another thing you could also do, you could once you click, you can also hide. You can hide it in report view if you don't want to, since we're not using it. But let's delete it. So this would okay. So if we look at this, we have under, if you expand the product subcategory, you have the hierarchy. You have the product category and that the product key. Okay. Okay. So also we can also do that to the could also do that to the sales, the state zone. The state zone, you want to let's expand this. Yeah. You want to create the hierarchy. Yeah, and the state. Okay, you should be under the zone actually. You create the hierarchy under the zone, then add the state to it. So I'm going to delete this one. The state hierarchy, delete from model. But we have in this here, the states. So we are going to add the state to the zone hierarchy. Okay. Now, creating your hierarchy, you want, okay, we'll see how this works later. Okay, now what I'd like us to do is let's go to the report. Yeah, I'm going to, let's see how to set up the Q&A. The Q&A is used for your visuals. Yeah, it's one of the tools you use for visuals. All you need to do here is you could ask questions. Yeah, if you want your total sales, just say, Total sales. What's my total sales? Yeah. And it will give you the total sales. What is the total sales? It's coming up. It gives you the figure. So it tells you that the total sales is 56.25. Yeah. So the Q&A is a very good, all you need to do is just ask it any question. Okay, I'm going to, you could ask any question. What do you want to find out from the data set? If we want the total sales by channel name, we could do that. Let's, total, you want the total sales, total sales by channel. Okay. Okay, I think this is not total. Total sales by channel. Okay, so this gives you, this is not sales. Can you see my screen? It's a bit tiny, but let me expand it some more. This is sales here. Sales. Okay, so this is total sales by channel. We can see that the outlet has more sales here. Outlet has more sales here, followed by very faint though. Okay. Can you see my screen though? Followed by online here. Can you all see my screen? Then reseller and catalog, because this is the total sales by channels. Yeah. So this channel has more sales here, outlet. It has, you can see the tool. It tells you that the outlets has like 32 million total sales. And this one has 11 million total sales. So it tells you, yeah. Okay. What would you like to find out from the data set you have using the Q&A? Yeah, just ask any question. Let's know. Yeah. Okay. If we want total sales by, sorry. Go on.
Can we say which channel gave us the no, which states or geographical zone gave us the highest profit?
Okay. The highest profit. Okay. You want the state that gave the
zone. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Profit. You can say profit.
I want to go than head office.
Okay. Because we've calculated okay, we could do profit by zone. Yeah. By zone. Okay. ZONE. Okay. So you can see that Southeast. Yeah. This is the zone and this is the profit. Southeast is doing very well, followed by the Southwest. You can see even the profits. The Southeast is making 9 million. Yeah, and the Southwest 7 million something, and North followed by North Central. So it gives you the profit by zone that you requested for. Federal Capital is not doing well. It's doing the least. Has the least profit, which is 234,000. Yeah, can we see that? Yeah. So this is profits by zone. Yeah. So you could use this you can use the Q&A to ask your questions. Okay. So is there any other thing we'd like to know here? Yeah. Okay. We could also check total sales by product category. Let's see. Or profit by category. Category. Okay. So which category is doing very well? You can see that computers. Yeah, computers is doing very well. That's a profit. Making more profit, followed by cameras and camcorders and TV and cell phones. Okay. So any questions from what we've done so far? Any questions? Okay, and if you want, since okay, we're looking at this, if you want in pie, you could say as a pie chart. As a pie chart, as this is a bar chart, you can say as pie, the pie chart. Okay, so it gives you that. Yeah. So all you need to do is just write English and you can see the insights. So it tells you computers, you know, all these. Okay. So are we okay with this? Yeah. Any questions so far? Okay. If we don't have any questions, I'm going to jump into DAX. So we're going to talk about DAX. So let's look at the slides or DAX and okay. So DAX is okay, creating measures using DAX in Power BI. So we're going to look at this. It introduces us to the world of DAX and its true power for enhancing a model. We'll learn about aggregations and the concept of measures, calculated columns and tables, and time intelligence functions to solve calculation and data analysis problems. Okay, so we look at DAX. For the advanced bits, we'll look at it in the advanced class. This is intermediate class, so I'm going to just pick. Yeah, but we'll look at how to create calculated tables, how to create calculated columns, and create measures. From the last class, we did a bit of we calculated we used the calculated columns to create the total sales, total cost, and profits. We remember how to do that. Yeah? Do we remember how to do that?
No.
Okay. Okay, we'll go through it again. Okay, great. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So good. Okay, so introduction to DAX. DAX stands for Data Analysis Expression. Yeah, the X there is expression. Yeah, DAX, Data Analysis Expression. So it's developed by Microsoft, the library of functions and operators. And you build formula and expressions with it. You create calculated tables, columns, and measures. We're going to look at that. So measures are a summarization of data, a way of defining aggregate calculations on data. It's often called calculated measures. Okay. We look at. Okay, the last class we used the new column, created calculated columns. Yeah, but this time we're going to look at the created columns. Remember, we had unit price and the quantity, and we calculated the total price, and we also calculated profits from the last class. Yeah. So columns versus measures. Calculated columns creates a value for each row in a table. Yeah. Calculated column values are stored in the Power BI file. Yes. But with measures are calculated on demand, and measures are calculated based on filters. So for if you to optimize memory, you use measures because you don't have it stored. Yeah. But with your, remember when we did when we calculated the columns, we had it on the tables. Yeah, with measures you don't see them on the table. Anyway, when we get to lab, I'll show you what I mean there. Yeah. Okay, so with DAX, you will learn how to calculate total sales. We did a bit of that last time. Total sales by year, total sales by product. Yeah, we saw that using the Q and A, the question and answer. Yeah, we could do total sales by year. Yeah, we could. Okay. And we could also use the calculate function. Yeah, the calculate function. Yeah. But there are so many, we're going to just look at some of because this is the intermediate class, so we're not going to look at all the DAX functions. Okay. Now let's go back to a table, and I'm going to go back to the sales details. Okay, here, remember we calculated the total cost last time, the total sales and profits. Yeah. Now somebody remind us, how did we get the total cost again? Somebody remind us, what did we do to get the total cost? I thought somebody said, she remembers. Tell us. Can you hear me? How come everybody
Hello,
has
we
gone
created
silent?
a new column
Yeah. Yes,
and
go
named
on.
it total cost.
Yeah.
And then we did a calculation starting from the equal to sign, the unit cost times, we did unit cost times the other quantity to get the total cost answer.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so your total cost is unit cost times the order quantity. That will give us the total cost. Total sales. Can somebody take total sales? How did we get the total sales?
Unit price times order quantity.
Okay, correct. Yeah, and how did we get the profit? How did we get the profit?
Total sales minus total cost.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so let me go back to here, the sales details. You see that Okay, over here, yeah, you can see once I highlight the total cost, that's what we calculated. So that you will use the unit cost times order quantity, and total sales is unit price times order quantity, and our profit is the total sales minus the total cost. So we did this the last time. Okay, you can see that with the calculated columns. Yeah, what we did was we did new column and we calculated this. Yeah, we did new column and we calculated. So we did this the last time. Yeah. Okay, now I'd like us to create a measure. Remember I said, okay, this with this calculated columns, it's stored on the table. Yeah, and we want to optimize as a Power BI, because we are data analysts now. You know, anytime you can create a measure, it's better to create a measure because you don't have it stored on your table. Yeah. So what we're going to do now, I'd like to show you how to, okay, suppose we want to create another, this time I'm going to call this, let's create a measure. But the formula, the formula is total sales. You should think, let me go back to total sales so that you know. Total sales we know is unit price times order quantity. Yeah, but when we're creating a measure, we always refer to the table first. The table, it's good to write some of these formula down because DAX is formula. You need a format. You need a format. Yeah. Okay. So now if I want suppose I want profit, this time I'm going to call it, profit 2. Yeah, I'm going to call it profit 2 so that we can calculate with the, and ideally you don't even have to calculate the total cost and the total sales. Yeah, we can do this. Let's create a measure here. I'll do let me show you how to do this first. Let me create another let me create this one so that you can see different way. For those that can't remember what we did the last time. Yeah, I'm going to call this profit 2. Profit 2, because we already have profit. Yeah. So I'm going to call this profit 2. And since we already have a unit price, we don't have to, the last class I calculated this so that you can see what we're doing. So that you can see what we're doing, you understand. But ideally, as data analysts, once you want to calculate your profits, all you need to do is, since you already have your unit price and your quantity, you already have this unit cost, unit price, and quantity. You don't have to calculate this. You know, you can just, you don't have to put it on the table. You could calculate this straight ahead. So the profit will be, can somebody help me out here? Yeah. Profits, you could just go ahead and just say unit price, yeah, minus. This time you're going to do, is going to be, you're going to remember your BOD mass. Yeah, bracket first. So you could just do that so you don't have to calculate total costs and total price separate. So you do unit price minus unit costs. And it needs to be in the block bracket. You can see the difference. This the block brackets, not this one. Yeah, the fields need to be in the block bracket. So that unit price minus the unit cost. Unit costs. Okay. You close the bracket. Times what? How come everybody has gone quiet on me? Times order quantity. Hello? Hello? Can you?
Hello.
Hello?
Can hear you.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, so this is another way to calculate the profit. You don't have to calculate total price, total sales before you get that. You can see that this is the same. Okay, we're going to put this in, let's in decimal, 2 decimal places. Could even have it in Naira. Let's have it into decimal places. Yeah. Okay. You can see it's the same figure as this one. Can we see that? Yeah. Here we just said unit cost minus
Yes.
the unit price times, but you always have to put this in brackets. BODMAS. Can somebody remind us what BODMAS stands for again? Can somebody remind us what? Pardon?
Addition. No,
Yeah.
brackets, multiplication, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction.
Okay. The O there is BODMAS is off. I mean, off. So you have multiplication, BODMAS, addition, and subtraction. Yeah. Okay, so we did the bracket first, unit price minus the cost price times that. If you don't have, okay, let's assume that if we don't have the bracket, yeah, you would there'll be a problem. Okay, let me even delete the brackets now, and you see that you're giving a wrong profit. Okay. Can you see that? Yeah. You have a negative, you don't even have profit, you have a loss if you don't use the bracket here. Can we see what happened here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to use BODMAS. You need to make sure of what you're calculating. Yeah, because if you don't do the right calculation, you give a wrong figure. Yeah, and if you take this to the management, I mean, it's a very wrong figure. I mean, it's a loss here. You can see that it's a loss. Meanwhile, it should be a profit. If you did the calculations right, you should be making profits here. But you can see what this gave you. So we need to, when we're writing our formulas, we need to take note of all this. Yeah, so you want the bracket, You want the bracket so you can get the right figure. Okay. So without BODMAS, you. Okay, now I'd like us to create a measure. Are we okay with this? Do we have any questions so far? Do we have any questions? Any questions?
No. No.
Okay, okay. Okay, so now I'd like us to create a measure. Like I mentioned earlier, measures don't, okay, I'm going to rename this first. I'm going to rename this sales data, sales details. Yeah, and to rename, you remember how where to rename. Just click on it and go to rename because it's too long. I want to make it shorter. I could call it sales. We know it's sales details. We can call it sales del. So that's sales del. Just sales del details or detail dates. Okay, so I'll call it that. So that's how to rename. If you want to rename your field names, yeah, these are the field names. You could just click on it and rename. So I've just renamed this because I want to. It was too long. I don't want to be typing all that, because when you're creating a measure, you need to you need to mention the table name. Yeah, and remember I told you that measures don't reside on your table. Yeah. Okay, so now I right clicked and it says, yeah, new measure. So I'm going to create a new measure here. Yeah. New measure. So this time I'm going to create profit. Yeah, I'm going to use measure to create the profit. I could call it M profit so that we know that is the profit we use that measure, or profits M, whatever. Profit M. Okay. We're using this to create measure. And to create the measure, we use sum X. Remember I mentioned to you that it's DAX is formula. You have a lot of formula in DAX. Yeah, and a lot of formulas. So you need to know the syntax of the formula. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to use some X because I'm dealing with tables here. So some X of, first you mention the table name. Yeah, you need to reference the table. So sales debt, yeah, bracket sales debt, then the unit price, unit price, unit price, then close your bracket. Please take note of the brackets we're using. Yeah. Minus. Okay, there's a problem here. Once you see this, then that means there's a problem. So you need to check. Yeah. Once you see the red line, those debt. Sales dirt unit. Okay. Okay, we need to there. Sales dirt. Okay, sales dirt now. Unit price. Unit price. Minus unit cost. Cost. Close the bracket. Times the quantity. Quantity. Okay, let's check the table. What's that? Sales. Sales DT. Sales DT. Times quantity. Okay. Okay. What we could do first is okay. Okay, what we could do first is let's go back to this first and pick that. Okay, we know how we got all this. We know how we got this one. Yeah? The total sales. Yeah? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do, do we have any questions on this first before we go on? How we got the total sales and the total cost? Yeah? Hello?
No.
Okay. So, okay, so now let's go back to, because this is the standard syntax. Yeah, this is the standard syntax. But okay, this time, even the profits, this is also the standard syntax. Yeah, so it's this one, but with measure, we'll reference the tables. We reference the tables. Yeah, when we're building the measure. Okay, so now let's go back to the sales. Okay, I renamed it to this. So our new measure. Okay. Okay. First we say profit 2 now. Let's say profit 2 equal to sum x. Okay, sum x. Okay, sum x, it says the table name. You can see that it tells you the table name, comma, the expression. It returns the sum of an expression evaluated for each row in a table. So the table name, okay, yeah, so what we missed out was the comma. So you need to always check. Let's even pick from here. Sales dirt. Looking for sales dirt. Where are you?
You
Sales
passed
dirt.
it. It's down. It's just down there. Just move
Down.
slowly.
Okay, sales.
You now passed it.
Yeah.
It's already in alphabetical order. So just see it
Yes,
here.
okay,
Sales dirt.
that's it. Okay,
Sales
yes.
dirt.
Okay. So, okay, what we missed out actually was a comma. You can see the expression. So that's why I went back. Yeah. So after the table name, you need a comma before the expression. So this is the expression now. Yeah, you can see that the table name, which is sales debt, then the expression. So that, then the expression, we have comma, then we have in bracket, not the curly brackets, the black one, unit. Is always better once you're doing the right thing. It even brings up the, the fields that you can pick from. So we want the units for the profit. We want the unit price here. Where are you, unit price? Okay, unit price. Okay, so I don't even have to type. Once we have the right syntax, minus the unit costs, bracket again. So it brings it up. That's the unit cost. Okay, unit cost. Close brackets now. Close our bracket. Then times. So once you don't have the red line, it shows you that you're doing the right thing. So times, remember the standard syntax. That profit is unit price minus unit cost. Yeah, times. This time we're not with measures. You don't want to start calculating total sales to be able to get your profit. So once you do that, times the order quantity. So that order quantity. So that will give you your measure. Yeah. So it says the name profit 2 is already, okay, we already did that before. Okay, let's use the measures. Okay. Okay, let's put it profits measure. Use measure to create this one. So enter. So we've used, we calculated our profit using the measure. So this is the format, yeah, to calculate the measure, yeah, the profit using measure. You can see that here, and it comes as, you can see it in the calculator. You can see the calculator before it. You could say that's a measure. You can't see it on your table. Remember, I mentioned that it doesn't appear on your table. Yeah, but if we go to our report and say, suppose we want, okay, I'm going to, let me bring up another, or even the card. Let's look at the card. We did visuals in the beginner's class. Yeah, you remember the visuals? We did visuals. Yeah, I could bring any of the, which one should I? Okay, let's use the card. Let's use the card. Yeah, suppose Now I want, for this, I want to see the value we calculated in this. And you see it's 32.45. That's the profit using measure. Yeah. And here we did the calculation profit too. Let's check this one too. Let's see if yeah, here we use the calculated column to calculate this profit. Yeah. Let's see what it gives us. Can you see it gives us the same value? Yeah. So this is the profits we calculated using the calculated column, and this is the profit we calculated using the measure. So I always recommend that you use measure to do your calculations anytime you can, instead of using the calculated column. Yeah, because you don't have it, you use it to, you don't have it stored on the table. And that's good for performance. Yeah. Do we have any questions? DAX is a lot. We can also, okay, before, do you have any questions with this before I go on? Yeah. Any questions? I hope you took the formula down, because you need to have it written down, so at least to guide you if you're calculating, if you're using DAX. Did you write it down? Nobody's answering me.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is it. Please take it down. You can write it down so that this will guide you. Yeah. Yeah. Always remember your comma after your table. You need to also always reference your table. Yeah. When you're doing that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Another thing I'd like to show you is how to create calendar before we call it a night. Yeah. Okay. Suppose, do you have any questions so far with what we've done with calculated columns and measures? Any questions? Is there any area that you're not clear with? Hello? Any question?
Respond now. People are just keeping quiet.
Exactly. I wouldn't know if you're following or not. Are you okay with it? No questions. So we're fine. Yeah. Yes.
Is
Yeah,
the
go on.
calendar thing going to be a lot? I'm just thinking, I feel like
Okay.
we've had a lot
Because
to
then,
take in today. So
okay. Okay.
maybe we
I'm not,
can.
no, it's not going to be much. It's that I'm rounding up actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay
Or
then.
you want us to move it to the next class?
I was
Somebody.
thinking so. Should we
Ah.
take a vote?
The calendar is not, it's not going to be much.
No,
But okay, take a
okay.
vote. Yeah, take a vote. Who wants to call it a night now, or who wants to continue? Let's take a vote. You can put your hands up
Hands up for
if you do.
continue, hands down for close.
Close.
So hands up for continue and down for close.
Please excuse me, while we are still taking the votes, I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
I'm trying to have a clear understanding of the difference between the calculated like this total and the what's it called again?
And
The
the
measure.
measure.
And the measure. Yes, I'm trying to see which is more advantageous when I have data. Like I'm just trying to see which one is, or which one is more beautiful, which one is better for me.
Okay. Yeah, I already mentioned that it's measures. Anytime you can do a calculation using measure, it's best to use measure, because with measures is not stored. Yeah, and it's not stored. Yeah, in the memory, just like the calculated is stored in the memory. So, as data analysts, you want the best performance. So with calculated column, it's stored in the memory. Yeah, but measure is not stored in the memory. Yeah, with calculated columns, you calculate at the time of refresh reports. Yeah, but with measures, you calculate on the fly. That's as you go on, because you already have it here. Yeah, you don't
No,
have
so
it
are we saying
stored.
that? Okay.
Go on.
So does it mean that if it's not stored in the memory, if I close this now and relaunch it, this this figure will no longer show?
No, that's not
Is
what
that
I
what you
mean.
mean?
No, 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 no. It's there. It's there on the
Let
fields.
me, Franca,
So
let
anytime.
me
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
in
Okay. Yeah. One
if I
minute.
can.
So
Okay.
yeah, 1 minute. All I'm saying is that with calculated column, it consumes memory. Yeah, because you have it out here. All these were calculated. So it consumes memory, while the measure doesn't consume memory, but you have the calculated measure there. Anytime you need it, you can call it up. Okay, yeah, go on, Yinka. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
on,
think I
Yinka.
think you I think you basically clarified it. Like,
Uh,
hope you're fine now.
yeah, okay. So
So we
are
have
you?
4 hands up for continue and 3 down. So the eyes have it.
Okay. Oh, to continue or to
Continue to
continue?
continue. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. I should round up in another 5 minutes. So let me say 10 minutes. Okay. So now, okay, we've looked at the measures. I'll have to create measures, and we also looked at okay, we used the new column, and we used the how to create measure. Now let's look at the tables. Suppose we want to create a table. Yeah, because okay, we are going to create a date table. Yeah. Okay, suppose we want a date table, and here you want okay, over here. Okay, I forgot to mention to you that also your our date is in a hierarchy. Yeah, it's in a hierarchy. Let's look at the dates we have here. Where is the dates? Okay, this is the date key. Okay, so this is the hierarchy for the dates. So we have year, quarter, month, and day. So it's in a hierarchy. Um, this is how you have your dates hierarchy. Okay. Now, I'd like to create a date table. Yeah, I click on the date key. Yeah, and then new table. This is the date key. Yeah, new table. Okay, so suppose, let me call this date table. Let me just call it date table. Okay. We have a function. This is a function called calendar auto. Suppose, yeah, let's use this calendar auto. Yeah, and you see what it does. Yeah, it says calendar auto, the fiscal year end month. Okay, if I do this, yeah, if I do this and enter, yeah, it gives me the dates. You can see this is from um, January 1st, 2021 to, you can see, yeah, to 2013. So it gives me the dates, the automatic dates. That's what we have, on the system here. So it gives me that. So you can use the author date to do this. Yeah. You can also create a date table from once you give it a date. Suppose I want a calendar date. Calendar date. Okay, let me call this now. Let me say I want to build another date table. I'm going to call this from, you can specify a date you want. Suppose I want to build from 01 01 01 2011. Yeah. So you've seen how to build the automatic, the calendar auto is the one that once you say auto that way. Yeah, but please take note of these formats. We have a lot of DAX formats which you can get online. I'm going to give you a list of some formats you could go through. Okay, this in quotes, double quotes, to be double quotes. Where's my double quotes? Okay. That double quotes. Then you want it to, suppose you want to end, comma. You can see that you want it to end there. Want to end 31st. 31st, 12 December 2021. So we are creating another date table. This is double quote. We end it with a double quote. Comma. This is, see, once you don't get the syntax right, there's a problem. So we need to always get our syntax right. There's a problem here, 31st. Okay, this is, no, this is the American way. I haven't changed it to, let me see, 12th, 31st, let's see. 31st, 2021. Double quotes. Okay, this is, there should be a slash here. Okay, I'll check this format in the next class. Yeah, because there's a problem here. We can see that this format is wrong. It's not. Once you have.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go on.
Wait.
So, yeah, go
Excuse
on.
me.
Yeah.
After 2011, is it not supposed to be a double quote after 2011?
Yes, it's supposed to be a double quote. Is the single I have there. But that's not the error. There's an error here. It says, okay, calendar auto. Oh, sorry, I know why. I already did, I didn't want this auto. We already did the auto calendar. This is just calendar. Now, remember we built the calendar auto, yeah, and within the bracket there was nothing, and it gave us a list. But this time, I want us to build the calendar, giving it create a calendar, giving it the where we want to start and where we want to end. Yeah.
You have calendar.
The A is still
Calendar.
showing.
Yeah,
A,
calendars in D. Okay. All right. So can we see that? So the beginning and the end. So we enter. Wow, voila. Okay. So once to create a calendar, the date table, you can also remember this is a function. The calendar is a function. Within the auto calendar, the calendar auto, which gave us the, but if we want to tell it, suppose we want to build from this date to end this date. Yeah, you put the dates, the begin date and the end dates, and it will give us the dates. Yeah. If you go down, you see that we have up to 2013. Yeah, like we said. Okay. In 2021. Okay. So any questions? Any questions?
yes. My question
Yes.
is, in what
Yeah.
cases would I need to build a calendar?
Oh, in lots of cases. Suppose you want, you see, as data analysts, you want year to date, when you want to know year to, like, what's year, even you want to, like, suppose you want to know sales to date, how much sales did they make 2 years ago, or there are different things questions you might want to use the date for. Yeah. So anyway, with this is we're just scratching the darks on the surface. You'll get to know more about the dates, the date fields in the advanced class, because you have the time intelligence and the advanced DAX to deal with there. Okay. So any other questions with what we've done today before we call it a day? Any other questions? Victoria, Lara, Ona, Quickball.
None from me.
Okay. All right.
No question.
Good. Okay. Jay. All right then, Victoria.
None
All
from
right
me.
then.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay, you're welcome. So good night, everyone. And
Thank
have a
you.
lovely weekend, whatever is left of it. And see you next Saturday.